I guess we need an intro. Let's go.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm good.
Lekker, guys.
Good,
Welcome
good.
back to the podcast. Sim is back with me, and we're doing hopefully a quick one today, just about, you've seen by the title, vulnerability in marketing. So this kind of came off the back of, so vulnerability in marketing, because last week, Simone and I we had a little conversation that she's completely forgotten about. So I thought, hey, here's an opportunity. And at the time, I thought it would make a good episode because it's quite a hot take, actually, that I have of marketing and what everybody else thinks is popular in marketing. Everybody seems to praise, and I have a very different opinion of it. And it's that of the Paul brothers, the influencer marketing phenomenon. Everybody loves to run around, and everyone loves to run around and talk about people like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and really like pat them on the back and say what genius marketers they are. He's such a good marketer, and I don't agree with that one bit. I really don't think that these guys are anything of the level of marketer that we give them the credit for. It's a hot take because everybody says, hey, they're such good marketers. That's not to take anything away from them. I think they've done exceptionally well. I don't think either of them are exceptionally good human beings. I know quite a lot about both of them in terms of their careers and what they've done. I'm talking particularly of like Logan Paul and his crypto coin things that he's done and scam people. And I mean, I call it that. It is pretty much what they did. They rug pulled people on crypto scams, and he built a little app that was supposed to make people money, and he just ran away with all the cash. And it's a whole long lawsuit thing that's actually going on at the moment. So, I mean, this is all alleged. Let me just say that just in case anybody decides that this is not what I should be saying. But, he's done some other things as well. And Jake Paul as well. I don't think that they particularly stand-up value-driven guys. I think they're very much driven by money and all that. Not to take anything away from them. They have done exceptionally well for themselves, and they've done exceptionally well for the influencer marketing world and tactic of influencer marketing. But I don't think one little bit of it has been because they're good marketers. And this is what I was saying to you last week, and I'm glad you don't remember so we can make an episode out of it. But
Do you have to keep reminding everybody about my bad memory?
Okay. How shit your memory is. What do I think, if it's not marketing ability, why have they been so successful? And I think that's probably what I need to answer for myself or put forward, because if I'm saying they shit marketers,
Like lessons that maybe
right,
you can take
exactly, and that's exactly it. It's the main lesson. And as I say, I don't think that they're phenomenal marketers. I think once you've got a platform, once you've got a following, it's very easy to market. You just do stuff because your following will follow you. And
I
then
think the sensational stuff is the ones that go viral, and that's what people like to share, and then
they start following you.
But
exactly.
it's all about being sensational, I think.
100%. And I think that's, and like, as for an example, going back to why I don't think Logan Paul is a stand-up human, there was a very big controversy a few years ago when he went to the suicide forest in Japan, where he visited the suicide forest and landed up filming a dead body hanging from a tree, and he put it on YouTube. And then there was a whole apology tour and all that stuff. Like a person with morals and a person who's stand up, and they don't do things like that. So that kind of, I agree with you, that's sensational. But there's something that happens in order for you to get to that sensational moment. And that's why I think that's where I think these two guys are. I'm talking about the Paul brothers, but I'm talking about any influencer. And actually, I'm talking about anyone in that generation, actually. Because this new generation of kids have this secret power that our generation doesn't have. And I'm starting to discover it. I've discovered it recently, and that's a lot about what this podcast has been for me and about launching this podcast. Relevant because today is actually the day that we're launching the podcast, even though this is probably episode number 15 or whatever. And that superpower is the superpower of vulnerability. This generation of people, compared to our generation of people, have no problem being vulnerable in public. They have no problem putting their life out in public for other people to look
And
at,
it's not
criticize.
necessarily bad. It's just different.
That's my point. Is our generation grew up. Well, it is bad. It gets to a point where it becomes bad. But I agree with you. That's my point about these guys. These two guys, all they really did, and all these. Now I'm generally talking about. Sorry. Now I'm generally talking about any influencer. Logan and Jake Paul, the makeup influencers on Instagram, the Kardashians,
I
any of
don't
these.
think you can call the influencers marketers.
Well, but
Because-
that's exactly my point. We call the Logan
Different.
brothers marketers. They're not marketers. All they did really, really well was they came out as youngsters, and this is what this young generation is okay doing. They came out as youngsters, and they said, hey, look at me. I'm putting my life out there. I don't care about anything. I'm just putting it out there. And people started paying attention. And because they were the first ones to put their life out there and do these crazy things, the youngsters started following them. They
But
started growing an
even
audience.
There is a voyeuristic society. Like, even look at Big Brother. When Big Brother came out, it was a massive hit. And all the reality shows now, from Love Island to Survivor to, look how well they do. People like,
Vicarious living. They
Yes.
like to live through other people, 100%. And I think that's our generation, is we like to look at people who are sharing personal struggles, that are sharing imperfections even, behind the scenes glimpses. Our generation looks at it and goes, wow, I wish I had that courage. I wish I had that that ability. And I wish I had those balls in a way. But that I don't, and so this person does, so I'm going to watch them, I'm going to tune into what they do, and I'm going to scroll through their feed and like tune into what they do. So the reason this is such a big topic for me, or why I wanted to make a thing about this, is because that vulnerability, which is so foreign to our generation, comes so effortlessly to the younger generation. They don't appreciate, and I think one of the biggest lessons, and one of the biggest places where you can see this is OnlyFans. What these 21, 25-year-old girls, okay, mostly in the States and like Britain and all that. I don't know how big it is in South Africa, but these youngsters, young girls, going straight onto OnlyFans and putting literally their entire body online without caring 1 second about the implications of this for the rest of their life. They don't consider that they're going to have kids one day.
Here or now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what these influencer marketers have.
They don't think of consequences.
Yeah, they don't think about it.
But I think there's a whole psychology. It's not only about marketing. I think there's a whole psychology, which I'm not.
Yeah, you mean within this
Can't
generation?
even comment on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of what makes somebody want to share
Yeah.
that amount
I
of
think,
information or skill.
yeah, I think that the psychology, the reason, what makes someone go, I'm 21 years old, 25 years old, whatever it is, I'm going to share this online. I'm going to put this out there online, right? I think it's the desire to have what these other influencers they've got. They want to be YouTubers. They want to be influencers. They want to live a life like this.
aspiration. I think it's
Exactly.
aspiration.
I think that's what drives most of the sharing. That they want to go viral. They want to get a big following. They want and I think, and I need to relate
It's all
this.
about likes.
Exactly.
Likes,
Chasing lights. And you're seeing that more and more now in the streaming world. You've got these douchebag streamers going to foreign countries and acting like absolute animals and getting arrested, and because they just for the likes, just for the recognition that they get online. Like people's literally sending them subs on their stream. And I think the why I care about this for me is I've adopted this I've recognized I've recognized this vulnerability and this superpower, and it's something that I talk a lot about on this podcast about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. For me to put what I'm putting into this podcast out into my social media is very, very confronting for me. And makes me feel very vulnerable, but it's something that I want to do. And I've had to, myself in my head, I've had to consciously make myself comfortable with the uncomfortable and say, hey, I'm going to put this out on my social media regardless of what the consequences are. I'm taking a little bit of a lesson from that generation and going, hey, I don't want what they want. They want to do it for the likes, and they want to do it for the fame, and they want to become a YouTuber and all that. That's not why I'm doing it. But is it any different? I'm making myself vulnerable and uncomfortable by putting my life online and saying, hey, this is what I'm up to. This is where I'm going. This is what my stories. This is the challenge I had. This is the struggle I had. This is the loss that I experienced. That vulnerability I appreciate when I see it in these guys, even though most of them are douchebags and these influencers are complete tools and they use their following for often not good causes. I cannot take anything away from them. That the fact that they're willing to put themselves out online in such a way is
Brave.
very brave. And it's something that, as I say, it's like for myself personally, I'm proud of myself for doing that now. It's very uncomfortable. It's been one of the most uncomfortable parts of doing this podcast is actually putting it onto my social media. But I appreciate that why I'm doing it is because I want my friends and family and people around me to know what I'm going through and what I'm struggling with and what I'm not struggling with. And I want to be an example that if somebody else is going through something, they can say, hey, Steve did this. Or Steve might know someone who can help me. Or, that's why I'm doing it, because I want to become that example in people's lives. Exactly.
People can identify.
Exactly. So it is it. And I mean, I think it's quite interesting. And this is another reason, like what you said was quite interesting as well about, you don't know if you can call them marketers. I also don't know if you can call them marketers. Like it's so far removed from traditional marketing, like blogging or social, even normal social media, like normal social media posts.
Maybe we can say that they're a subsect of marketing.
Yeah,
they have a place. I mean, influencers certainly have a place.
Well, I think what's interesting is like how many brands, how many businesses now actually dedicate. I think I looked up a stat and it was something like 75% or 92%, something like that. It's a lot. Don't come to this podcast for the facts. You're not going to get them. You'll get complete speculation here. But 75 to 92%, let's just call it that, of brands dedicate a budget towards influencer marketing.
So there is a place they are used to market, but they're not. I don't think they're marketers.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is when smart marketers see them and take them on and say, hey, cool, you do what you do. We will put the strategy together. We will direct you. We will give you the toy to play with. We will chop it up and we'll make sure that it gets done correctly. But you just do what you do, and we'll just hang around and take advantage of whatever you're up to. So if you're going to walk into an ice cream shop and take the ice cream and throw it on the floor, we'll make sure we've got cameras there to make the most of it and say, hey, if you want to clean your floor, make sure you, such a stupid example, but you get my point. And I think it's obviously also differs heavily from traditional marketing in that this is where I think also where the vulnerability piece comes in is, and in a way I kind of feel like I've done this with this podcast. I've done this in quite a quick way. I've just said, let's just do it. Let's get it out there. Just put it out there. We'll figure it all out. Build, measure, learn. Let's just go. I think that's what influencer marketers do really, really well. There's zero curatorship. I mean, I say zero. There's almost no curatorship. There's almost no planning. It's just shoot, post. And with traditional marketers, be that social media, blogging, whatever it is.
There's research and analytics and planning.
And often you miss, what ends up happening is, and if you haven't listened to the Build, Measure, Learn podcast episode, go listen to that because we go through this quite heavily in that. If you land up doing too much of that tinkering, you miss the boat sometimes. You miss the trend, and like stuff moves so fast. That's why influencers, and that's talking about going viral, that's why influencers manage to go viral, because they're so fast to post something that's 10% ready to post. By the standards.
I used that with a client recently who we needed to respond to an article that had been published. And it was a perfect opportunity for our client to comment and get exposure with his opinion. And it just takes so long to analyze how to say, should we say, getting the time in the diary, eventually you miss the opportunity.
Did you use, what did you say you used it with the client?
I was saying that it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just do it.
Did you learn that from the Build, Measure, Learn?
Yes. So thank you to you.
No, it's not my idea. I mean, it's Eric Weiss's, thing.
But you spoke about
but
it,
it's,
and I implemented it in headlines and said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if there's, it's...
And it's something that I'm learning more and more. Like one of the businesses that I told you about that I'm working on is this throwing these EDM parties and stuff like that. And one of I'm implemented almost everywhere that I'm doing something. I'm almost like, is it good? Yeah, it's good. Is it great? No, it's not great. Is it good enough to get then put it out there? Let's just move, rather than stuff around and then miss the opportunity and miss the boat. And I think that if you look back at the successful business people and the successful businesses in the past, whether it's 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 100 years ago, think there's an element in that in everyone who's started a business, who's been successful in a business, not who started a business, who's been successful in a business. They've just gone to market as fast as they've beat the competitor. And I think we must put a warning in here. That's why I say go listen to that other episode, because we talk about in that episode, that was one of the major points of it was Eric Weiss said, hey, build, measure, learn, get it out there, just start. Instagram did that, Twitter did that, that's how they did it. But we're coming full circle now where you've got brands doing that and bringing out products that are absolutely shit and absolutely
so there is a
subpar.
place for it, sure.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for example, what you did with your clients, I think that's a beautiful example
Nice.
of, did you act on that,
We
by the way?
didn't actually. We didn't get to act on it.
Why?
No, just lack of time or commitment from the client.
So the client didn't buy into your philosophy of,
No.
guys, we need to get this out.
No. He
Doesn't need to be perfect.
he
Let's just
want-
get it
Yeah,
out.
he wanted to review it and wasn't comfortable with it not being perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So he missed the opportunity.
yeah, opportunity missed. It's now old news.
What have you done about that?
We're trying to find other ways of going to market. So we'll try and find another way of saying our message, putting our message across
Gotcha.
in our own thought leadership piece.
Got you. Interesting, eh?
Mm.
So it's quite frustrating because you might have well, firstly, well done for taking that on board. I'm stoked you did that because it's, at least you're not wasting your days here talking shit to me.
As lovely as it is.
Your hot water bottle and everything. But yeah, man, keep going at it. I mean,
Yeah.
at least you've implemented
Listen,
it.
nothing's going to change immediately. It
Yeah.
is about
Yeah.
you know,
what I
adopting
think,
a mindset and over time. Hopefully.
exactly. And I think what what you've run into there is also a situation where just because you believe something is the right way to go doesn't mean that your client will. Which is quite tough actually sometimes. As
It's about
agencies.
also having faith and trust in the process
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. But I think also just talking about the vulnerability piece, it really, I do want to just say this as well, while I've been quite harsh on the Paul brothers and like influencers and all that, vulnerability, and I think maybe I'm using the wrong word. It is vulnerability because they are happy to put themselves out there and be vulnerable in public. Maybe it's just irreverence. Maybe it's impulsiveness, which is so ironic because Logan Paul has a podcast that he calls Impulsive, the Impulsive podcast. Yeah. But maybe it's impulsiveness, whatever it is. But I have been harsh on them. I said, hey, listen, these guys are not marketers. They're just good at putting their lives out online, and people follow them. People like them. They want to live like
Clearly,
theirs.
they're good at something.
Well, I think that's my point here is that it is just one piece of the puzzle. So there is definitely an element. They are good at other things. I'm not taking everything away from them. But I do want to just, for me at least, I believe that the being vulnerable and putting your life out there and just saying, hey, I don't really care about the consequences. I'm just going to put it out there. Is a big part of it.
It also makes you real. Like people like doing
Right.
business with people.
Well, that's vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like
So-
you're not vulnerable if you curate if you completely curate your image and then put yourself out there as, oh, I'm vulnerable.
It's
People
not
are going to
real and
see, people are going to see
authentic,
through you. They're going to go,
Exactly.
dude, you're not really. I mean, like,
But
this
then
is
you're not a name and you're not a brand. You're a real person.
yeah.
And I think it attracts other real people.
Yeah, and I think, as I say, is well, and I guess this in a way will be the test for me, because as I say, is I'm learning from that generation and from the Paul brothers, going, hey, let me just put my stuff out there and be vulnerable, and hopefully this podcast is received well and becomes successful and people follow it, because that'll be for me will be confirmation that yes, you just needed to make yourself vulnerable and put yourself out there and say, hey guys, this is me. Like no like facade, no walls up. This is who I am and where I'm at in my life, and I'd love you to follow along and see how it goes. But I think one of the and this is where I'm getting into the point about them not being marketers is they were vulnerable. They put themselves out there. They did crazy things. They got a following, and then from there it becomes quite easy. I think Then you get the people around you because you've got the money to help you. Hey, you do the marketing. I'm just going to go be crazy and just shoot content, and you just tell me where it's going to go. And so they've had that help, and I think they are not great marketers. I think they've got teams around them that are great marketers, and that's what's been successful for them. But I think the other elements, as I say, vulnerability is just one piece of it. So whether it's them, give them the credit, whether it's them or not, or it's a team around them, the elements of storytelling and authenticity and community building, those are super important parts of marketing.
Absolutely.
That whether they've done it themselves or they're great at that as well.
With digital marketing and online communities.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, community is everything, and like I think a lot of
And
brands
people trust their communities more than they would trust the brand.
totally.
I mean, that's word of mouth.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
It's going
And
back to marketing 101.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I run into a lot of business owners who fail to see that when they say, we need some help with our Facebook page. And I look at it and they're like, oh, we got 100 followers. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, it's not that good. I was like, guys, but 100 followers, this isn't 100 followers. This is 100 people in your community. Like, it's a community, and you're not feeding your community. You're not giving them stuff for you to follow. Exactly.
Interested.
Yeah.
followers, yeah.
Engage with them. Like, we all talk about this metric of engagement on social media, but we don't actually consider what are we doing to engage that community. And like a lot of these business owners, so they tend to think like, oh, we'll just put posts up, and then they've liked our page, and then we'll get more like. It's like, no, you need to give them stuff to engage with. Like, and that's why, for example, a beautiful example I always give them is when you post a normal post like, oh, we are this company and we do this, you get a bit of engagement on your post and life is good. But the minute you post of your staff standing around a table with food saying, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday, we got her a cake, all of a sudden likes go up. That's authenticity. That's vulnerability. That's saying, hey, we're just like you guys. We're normal. We have an office, and nobody really likes coming to the office. We'd all rather work from home, but it's her birthday, so we got a cake, and then we're going to go sit at our desk. Like, everybody gets that. And that's why people engage in. Yeah, it's very real. Exactly. It's that authenticity. And that almost, when people engage in that, is vicarious living as well. They're living through that business. They're going, oh, wow, you guys look like you're having a lot of fun. My business is so shit. We never have birthday cake. Like people, even if it's on a small level, people want to get involved in each other's lives, which I think is quite interesting. The only other thing I think I wanted to say about this was, is that last tip that I gave about posting vulnerability. And obviously we're talking about a business here. It's easy for a human being to just take their phone and go be vulnerable. And I mean, this generation of the world, Gen Z, we're up to Z now.
Yeah.
Gen A is coming now, apparently. The really young kids are called Gen A. They actually just starting at the beginning. But that would be my tip, would be if you are looking to build vulnerability into your business's marketing and even into your own personal brand marketing, post vulnerability stuff. If you're a business, post the staff pictures. If you're the owner of the business, grab your phone, stick it in front of you, portrait mode, and share a 30-second tip for your plumbing clients or for your whatever it is. Like, show what's going on behind the scenes. Like, that's what people like on social media. However, there's one other thing I also wanted to say about the warning of this. And this is what I think we're seeing with these influencers and these marketers and stuff. It can go too far. And while Gen Z is very good at being vulnerable and going, hey, cool, I'll just post everything and I'll take my clothes off and be on OnlyFans and I'll just do whatever I want on social media, no repercussions. Here's the warning. It can go too far. Because we see videos all the time of these, not always just youngsters, but older people as well, like doing stuff online. You're like, dude, do you have no shame? Like, what happened to the concept of shame in the world? What happened to the concept of, like, thinking about what people might think about what you're doing? Like taking your clothes off on OnlyFans. Like, you're going to have kids one day. What would your kids say?
I think this generation's all about instant gratification.
What do you think is going to happen to them in 20 years or 10 years?
I hope they manage to delete the old photos.
I don't think that's possible. The internet never forgets.
Yeah.
It's like an elephant. Anyway, the
There'll
point
be something
is,
that comes along.
for me, it's very worrying. You know, like, people are putting their whole entire lives out on these. And we've seen it over and over again of people getting cancelled in the media over the last few years because somebody went and dug up tweets of theirs from 5 years ago, 15 years ago, going, oh my God, you were a racist. They're like, you are a bit of change. And like, no, it's too late. You did. You did to us. We're going to cancel you. So, like,
They've got to think of consequences, long-term consequences.
yeah.
They don't.
They don't, eh? It's going to be a very, very interesting next few years. of people just getting, I don't know, I don't want to say they
Well,
come
like
up
20 years, I think, like today's 20-year-olds,
Yeah,
how they'll cope.
scary thoughts. Okay. Homework, guys, please go do me this one favor in your business marketing, please. Do me this one favor. Go and post something vulnerable about your business on your social media and tag me in it. Exitpreneur360. And tag Simone as well so she can see. Headlines PR.
Headlines PR.
Tag us in it. Do something vulnerable. Post your staff. Post the video of you, the
Post a
CEO.
thought.
Exactly. Post it, tag us in it. And in fact, I'm actually going to say this as well. If you're feeling that vulnerable that you couldn't even click post and you want to just record it or share it with just me or just Simon and say, hey guys, listen to the podcast. I wanted to, this is what I'm thinking of posting. Would you give me your thought? We'll be honest with you and tell you whether we think it's a good idea or a bad idea before you post it. So you'll get a free consultation from us, expert marketers and PR people, to say, yeah, this is a good idea or this is a bad idea. But like, just do something that makes you vulnerable in your business.
A little bit uncomfortable.
Exactly. Very cool little bit of homework.
Yeah.
I like that, Sim.
Cool.
Thank you. Goodbye.